Title: I regret hiding my past from my fiancé. He called off the wedding. He told me that this kind of deception would affect our relationship because he feels I've misled him for years. I was in tears at that moment. We talked extensively, and he tried to convey his feelings and why he was so upset. I told him I understood his anger. I just wanted to be honest with him before we proceeded with the polygraph. He said he couldn't trust me now and told me not to worry about the polygraph. He's upset with me for lying and has. Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. We're back with another story. I'll put it up on the screen if you want to read along. You've read the title, so let's dive right in. I'm a 31-year-old woman who agreed to a prenuptial agreement with my 34-year-old fiancé. Now, there's a polygraph involved. Someone seems a bit nervous, so you weren't entirely truthful with him? Let's delve into this. A bit of background. I'm using a throwaway account for obvious reasons. I grew up in a small southern town, attended a mid-sized college for fashion merchandising, and began working in my field. 3 years ago, I met my fiancé, let's call him Brian. I'm fairly successful in my career, and Brian is extremely successful in his, in addition to coming from a well-off family. We started dating long distance, and then I moved to his city with a promotion to a regional position, and we moved in together. I love this city and all the new friends I've made here. I love my new role and I love my fiancé. We're looking at houses and planning everything. We are a great match. Brian is charming, wonderful, thoughtful, and attentive, everything I want in a partner. His family is very supportive of us and our plans, as is mine. When he proposed last year with a beautiful ring at the beach, I joyfully accepted. We discussed it and agreed on a prenup to protect us both in case things don't work out. My motivation was to safeguard the inheritance I'm expecting from my grandmother, a family farm of about 50 acres, and my parents' home when they eventually pass away. There are also some jewelry, antique china, and other items I would never want to lose. It's not much compared to Brian's assets, but it's mine, and I wouldn't want anything to happen to it, nor would I want anything from Brian if we divorced. I didn't think much of agreeing to a prenup. Now his lawyer is drafting it. We're still over 8 months away from the wedding date, so this is a reasonable step. My lawyer reviewed it and agreed it was fair according to our state's laws. I agreed we should proceed, and arrangements were made for this Friday. I took the day off to sign the papers and have lunch with Brian to celebrate. When I received it back from my attorney, I noticed that part of what I'm expected to do is participate in a polygraph examination. So will Brian. I can compile a list of questions for him, and he can do the same for me, but we'll be answering them while connected to a lie detector. I've done these before for security checks, so I know how they work. But here's the issue. When Brian and I first got together and were sharing details after our first date, we met at a beautiful spot in the Virgin Islands. He casually asked about the number of men I'd been with, the usual discussions about past relationships that adults have. At the time, I didn't think much of it and gave him my standard answer, 5. That seemed reasonable, even a bit conservative. I only counted serious relationships since high school and the boy I lost my virginity to, not the casual flings or other guys I'd met. But here's the problem. In the suggested questions my attorney sent me, he mentioned that the other side will be asking similar questions. There are many about sexual history and infidelity. So here's my dilemma. I wasn't entirely honest with Brian back then. The actual number of guys I've been intimate with is higher. I was quite free-spirited in college before figuring out what I wanted to do. I took a year off to travel before graduating. That was a very adventurous year, to say the least. I made some mistakes, but I gained valuable experience and learned a lot about myself. But I know Brian wouldn't be happy with the real number, perhaps enough to postpone or cancel the wedding. That would devastate me. His family is somewhat conservative and religious. I know he doesn't have much respect for infidelity or promiscuity. I'm terrified he'll ask me those questions or find out about the few times I've been unfaithful in past relationships. We've been together almost constantly for 3 years, and I love him deeply. I don't know what to do. I'm no longer that person who did all those things. I've grown and matured. I just don't think Brian will see it that way. He's much less experienced than me, only 8 partners total, and he does get a bit jealous when I mention my exes. He found out about something I did with one guy that I've declined to do with him, and he was hurt about it for weeks. I don't know how he'll react if he learns about everything I've done. So what should I do? I've already confirmed my appointment for Friday before figuring this out, and now I'm a nervous wreck. If I back out, he'll want to know why. If I admit I lied, he won't trust me. I'm a mess and can't even go into work because of this. Any thoughts? First of all, I want to thank everyone who was supportive and offered good advice and kind words. Even those who were harsh ended up influencing my decision to talk to Brian. Last night, we were at a nice bar and restaurant for drinks with friends, and once they left, Brian and I got a booth and had a late dinner. I was only slightly tipsy at 2 vodka martinis in 3 hours. I didn't know how else to bring it up without seeming sneaky, so I just said something like, "I'm concerned about the polygraph." He became a bit worried and asked why. I told him that I had lied when we first met and never corrected it. He asked about what? I told him it was about the number of men I'd been intimate with. That's when things took a turn for the worse. He got upset and asked how many. I told him the number wasn't important, it was the fact that I lied and felt guilty about it. He agreed that it was disturbing but insisted on knowing the number. I tried to explain that it wasn't the main issue, but he wasn't listening. He became a bit angry. He doesn't yell or swear much, but I could tell by his expression that he was very upset. He said it was important for him to know. I told him it was important to me that it wouldn't affect our relationship. He told me that something like this would impact our relationship because he feels I've deceived him for years. I started crying at that point. We talked for a long time, and he tried to explain his perspective and why he was so angry. I told him I understood why he was mad, I just wanted to be honest with him before we got to the polygraph. It was a rough night. We talked until the bar closed. He wanted to know exactly how many men and who they were. He said that if we were just dating, it wouldn't matter as much, but he needed to know who he was marrying. I tried to explain that I was a very different person back then, but he didn't want to hear that. He said he couldn't trust me now and told me not to worry about the polygraph. He wants to postpone things until he can think things over, including the wedding. He eventually put me in a cab home and said he'd call me tomorrow, which is today. I was a wreck all night and didn't get much sleep. I'm angry with him, but more so with myself for putting us in this situation. I'm heartbroken that I've hurt a good man and ruined a great relationship. I've left him 4 messages today, but haven't heard back. I woke up on the couch in last night's clothes, called work to take the day off, and I'm heading for a shower and then to bed. I thought I'd update all of you who were concerned about what happened. I'll check back later to see what you have to say. I don't know how long I'll keep using this account. I feel humiliated and exposed, but it's also been helpful getting everyone's feedback and advice. Thanks. To sum it all up, I told my fiancé about my past. He's angry with me for lying and has called off the wedding. I'm a miserable wreck and hate myself for ruining this, and I wish I could sleep for 2 years and wake up with everything back to how it was. Commentary. Oh, her past has come back to haunt her. Well, you did those things and tried to hide them. Many people have heard the saying that if someone tells you how many people they've been with, you might need to multiply it by a certain number. She wanted to seem more conservative and only counted the serious relationships. It's often said that people might downplay their past. In some cases, individuals might not count certain experiences for various reasons. It's important to be honest with your partner, especially when it comes to significant matters that could affect the relationship. In this situation, she tried to minimize her past, but it eventually caught up with her. Honesty is crucial in relationships, and hiding the truth can lead to mistrust and hurt feelings. It's understandable that her fiancé feels deceived. Let's see what others have to say. Comments. Commenter 1, why not talk to him before the polygraph? That seems like the best course of action. OP's response, we're supposed to have drinks with friends tonight after work? I might bring it up with him. Commenter 2, considering your anxiety and how you believe he will react, I think this is a discussion to have at home, in private. Bringing it up around friends or in public isn't a good idea. Observation, it seems she didn't take this advice and chose to discuss it in a public setting after having drinks. Commenter 3, I feel like someone might have alerted him to your behavior, and he's trying to find out the truth. He knows you lied and wants to confirm it. Either way, you wouldn't be in this mess if you hadn't lied. Your relationship is built on deceit. Commenter 4, a polygraph for a prenup is unusual. This isn't a wedding, it's more like a crime investigation. OP's response to another comment, I thought the polygraph would relate to financial or legal matters. My lawyer thinks his attorneys will ask similar questions. If I try to back out, it will look like I'm hiding something, which I have been. Commenter 5, did he actually say he wants to call off the wedding? It sounds like he needs time to process this. You can't decide what matters to him. Clearly, it matters, so telling him it doesn't isn't helpful. OP, I tried to explain that I was a different person back then. But he doesn't trust me now. Final thoughts? It's a difficult situation. Honesty and transparency are very important in a relationship. Although people can change and grow, hiding important parts of one's past can lead to trust issues. It is important to address these issues openly and respectfully. What do people think about this situation? Please let me know in the comments. See you in the next video.